Recording in progress.
Well, very good morning, guys. Very good morning, all of you. Yeah, actually, I just made a small mistake. All of you, what's it is? Last day, last Friday, Saturday, I think, Saturday. I did not upload the notes here. I did not upload the notes. Yeah, I done it now. I just done it now with all the things. Hello, is anyone in the meeting or no one is there? No one is responding. Okay. I just uploaded the notes just now for all of you. The notes is available. Just now edited. Okay, posted up the complete notes for you there. Not yours. This is not yours. Just a field of a battle ask your admin, not me. Okay, so guys, I just been explained you in the last session, like how you're going to create a project. Yeah, how you're just going to create a project and how do you run the project. Okay, so you're required to open this file and here you're required to add the startup object. So last class, I explained about what is output, what is target framework. I just explained you still about yeah, I just been explained about all these things to you in detail. Okay, all these things to you in detail. I just given you an explanation in the previous class. So here, originally, this is what we find in the file. Originally, this is what we find in the file. So what you're required to do now is you just required to go for adding these details. Okay, now. Not happened. You cannot get your account right now. Sign it. Open. Just a minute, guys. Please. Google Classroom link, you need to contact your admin only, not me. I won't provide you any Google Classroom links. Just now only, just now only, he has posted in your group also. Okay, so just contact him. I cannot help you. Okay, guys, let this process go on. Let this process go on. Meanwhile, we just today we will start with the concept of we'll start with the concept of object-oriented programming, guys. And today we are just going to start with the concept of object-oriented programming. So, what is this object-oriented programming? What is this object-oriented programming? Okay, let's try to understand about that one, guys. What is object-oriented programming? See, basically, what is this object-oriented programming means? Object-oriented programming is an approach Object-oriented programming is an approach that came into that was introduced in the late 70s or early 80s or early 80s. This is an approach that we use in the industry. This is an approach that we use in the industry for developing applications. Introduced in late 70s or early 80s, replacing the traditional procedural programming approach. Traditional procedural programming approach. Procedural programming approach doesn't provide security and reusability, whereas these two are the major strength of object-oriented programming. So what exactly I am trying to tell? Okay, carefully listen, all of you. Actually, in the industry to develop applications, before 80s, they used to follow or adopt an approach called as procedural programming approach. What is that? Procedural programming approach. So listen, all of you, in the industry, to build applications, they used to follow an approach called procedural programming approach. So what is this procedural programming approach? Okay. In this approach, what is this procedural programming approach? In this approach, we basically write the code in the form of functions. In this approach, we write the code in the form of functions. Example, C language. C language, guys. C is the procedural programming language. C is the procedural programming language. Do you guys understand? C is the procedural programming language, and by using the C, we just go for building the applications. By using the C language, we build. The drawback with this particular procedural programming languages, they don't provide you security and reusability. Security and reusability are not available for you in procedural programming languages, actually. So these are the this is a drawback what you have. This is the drawback what you generally have with the procedural program. No security and no reusability. There is no security available and there is no reusability available. These two things are not available for you in procedural programming languages. These two are not available to you in procedural programming languages. So procedural programming languages doesn't provide you security, and procedural programming languages doesn't provide you reusability also. Okay, so these two are going to be the major drawbacks what you will be having in procedural programming languages. C language doesn't provide you security. C language doesn't provide you reusability. These two are not available for you in the procedural languages. These two are not available in procedural programming languages. And to overcome this problem, and to overcome this particular problem, we have been provided with a new approach. We have been provided with a new approach called as object-oriented programming. And this object-oriented programming was introduced. This object-oriented programming was introduced in the early 80s. And from then, people started building applications by using object-oriented programming. And from then, people started using this object-oriented programming. So what is the advantage with object-oriented programming? The advantage with object-oriented programming is object-oriented programming provides you security and reusability, guys. Object-oriented programming provides you security and reusability. Security and reusability are the two major advantages, are the two major strengths of an object-oriented programming application. I repeat, security and reusability are the two major strengths of an object-oriented programming approach. Okay, so like this, we have object-oriented programming coming into picture, and people started developing applications by using object-oriented programming. People started building applications by using object-oriented programming. So object-oriented programming, as I said you, it has security in it, it has reusability in it. It has security in it, it has reusability in it. Both these two things are available for you in object-oriented languages. So like this, object-oriented came, and the first object-oriented language is C++. C++. Followed by that, there are so many new object-oriented languages that came into existence. Followed by that, there are so many new object-oriented languages that came into existence, like C++, Java, Python, C#, VB.NET. Array, not like one language. There are a number of object-oriented languages have been came in the market. And from then onwards, people started building applications completely by using object-oriented languages. And to be clear, object-oriented programming languages are very secure. To be clear, object-oriented programming languages are very secure. They are going to be very much secure. Understood? To be clear, the object-oriented programming languages are very much secure. Security, reusability, these two things are going to be the biggest advantage with object-oriented languages. So how do we get this securities and reusabilities and all? I'll teach you guys. Going forward, I'll show you practically how do we achieve the security and how do we achieve reusability in object-oriented programming languages. Going forward, I'll teach you how do you achieve security and how do you achieve reusability with these object-oriented programming languages. All these two things, securities, reusabilities, and everything. How this can be achieved in object-oriented, I'll practically show you. Okay, so that's what an object-oriented language is. So what languages comes under this? C, C++, Java, Python, our C#, all these are object-oriented languages. Now, when can I call a language as object-oriented? When can I call a language as object-oriented? So this will be a big doubt in your minds. When can we call a language as object-oriented? Okay, so remember, if you wanted to call any language as object-oriented, mainly that language has to follow four important principles. Any language which is going to adopt these four principles can be called as an object-oriented language. Any language which is going to adopt four principles is what we call as an object-oriented language. So to call a language as object-oriented, the language has to satisfy four important principles. So any language that satisfies this particular four principles can be called as an object-oriented language. So what are the four principles an object-oriented language has to satisfy? What are the four principles an object-oriented language has to satisfy? Okay, let's try to understand. What are the four principles the object-oriented language has to satisfy? Okay, see guys, if you want a language to be object-oriented, so how many principles has to be satisfied? Four. Object-oriented programming. A language to be called as object-oriented needs to satisfy four important principles, that are prescribed under the standards of the language. Those are, what are the four principles? Security, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. So guys, remember, a language to be called as object-oriented needs to satisfy the four important principles. The four important principles, what they have to satisfy is called as encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. What is encapsulation? Encapsulation means hiding of the data. Encapsulation means hiding the data. If you recollect, from day one, we are following encapsulation. What is the encapsulation? Array, we already discussed on this particular things here. In object-oriented programming, if you wanted to secure the members of the program, all the members of the program should be enclosed. All the members of the program should be enclosed inside of a container or a wrapper called as a class. We enclose all the members inside a container or a wrapper called as a class. And this class is going to provide the security for the members. This class is going to provide the security for the members. And that is what we call as encapsulation. So encapsulation means what? Wrapping. Encapsulation is nothing but wrapping. Where do you wrap? You wrap all the members inside of a class. We wrap all the members inside of a class. We're just going to wrap up all the members inside of a class. By wrapping all the members in the class, we are just going to provide the security that is required here. We are going to provide the security that is required here. How? By wrapping up the members inside of the class, we are going to provide the security that is required here. And that's what we call as encapsulation. Encapsulation means wrapping. Okay. And you remember this picture, guys? How you write code in procedural languages and how you write code in object-oriented languages. If you recollect yourself in procedural languages, we write the complete code inside of a program. This is a program. The code will be present. All the members will be defined inside of this particular program. But when you come to an object-oriented language, in object-oriented languages, we just go to writing all the code inside of a class. Remember that? We write all the code inside of a class. And the class contains the whole things in it. Okay. So that is only what we call as encapsulation. See, all of us know this. What's it? A wrapper always protects the content that is present inside of it. A wrapper always protects the content that is present inside of it. The same principle also we are following in this particular case also. What's it? We are wrapping the code. Where are we wrapping the code? We are wrapping the code inside of a class. Where are we wrapping the code? We are wrapping the code inside of a class. By wrapping the code inside of a class, we are just going to provide the security for the members. So by putting all the members inside of the class, we get the security. This class provides you all the security that is required in this case. The class provides you all the security that is required in this particular case. And that's what exactly the encapsulation is all about. So encapsulation is a process of wrapping. Is it clear, guys? Hiding the members, we call it as hiding the data. Hiding the data. Okay, so fine. So the next thing is abstraction. The next concept is going to be abstraction. What is this abstraction? What is this abstraction is, listen guys, abstraction is actually a process of hiding the complexity. Abstraction is actually a process of hiding the complexity. What is the process of hiding the complexity? In the sense, if you just understand my point, abstraction is also about hiding only, but hiding what means? We say hiding the complexity. So understand that hiding means hiding what means hiding the complexity. We're just going to hide the complexity here. So what exactly meant by hiding the complexity here is, see, Suppose you guys are driving a car. You're driving a car. Okay, suppose we are driving a car. And all of us know that the car has an engine. The car has an engine. And all of us know that, the car doesn't run without the engine. All of us know that the car doesn't run without the engine. A car requires an engine. And as a basically a simple common sense to apply all, the engine is internally a collection of hundreds of functionalities combined together, correct? An engine is internally a collection of hundreds of functionalities combined together to make up the engine. Okay, so basically, as a driver of the car, tell me, do we require to know how the engine functions? As a driver of the car, do we require to know how the engine functions? You are driving the car. As a driver of the car, do we require to know how the engine functions? No, yeah. A driver of the car doesn't require to know how the engine functions at all. A driver basically doesn't require to know how the engine functions at all. Not required. Array, if the driver of the car requires to know how the engine functions, yeah, you know that only a mechanical engineer can drive a car. If the driver of a car requires to know how the engine functions, then only a mechanical engineer can drive a car. A normal person cannot drive a car at all. You require a mechanical engineer, and that mechanical engineer only will be capable of driving the car. A normal person will never be capable of driving a car at any point of time. So what I'm telling you, as a driver of the car, don't I require to really know how the engine functions? Is what did I say? No, yeah, you don't require to know. No, you don't require to know how the engine functions. Then what should I know? You should know only how to control the engine. You should know only how to control the engine. How to control the engine? To control the engine, there will be a set of members that are available in the class. To control the engine, there will be a set of members that will be available for you inside the car. Like what? The clutch, the brake, the accelerator. Understand? The clutch, the brake, the accelerator, the gear, all these things. If you remember, by using all these things, can we control the engine? By using all these things, can we control the engine? 100%. By using all these particular things, we just can control the engine. So what we just require to know, how to operate all these things. What we require to know here, how to operate all these particular things. Did you understand me or not? What we require to know, how to operate all these things. If we know how to operate all these things, we can easily drive a car. If you know how to operate all these things, we can easily drive a car. So this is only what we call as abstraction here. Abstraction basically is all about hiding the complexity. See, as a driver of the car, the underlying complexity behind the engine, we don't know. As a driver of the car, the underlying complexity behind the engine, we don't know. What we know is only how to control all these things, how to control the engine by using all these things. Okay? And that's what exactly we call as abstraction. So abstraction, talking about the abstraction. Abstraction is nothing new, guys. We have abstraction in C language also. Really? Yes. We have abstraction in C language also. All of you just understand, right? What is abstraction, you know? What is abstraction and how it is present? See, functions are the best example for this abstraction. If you guys understand my point here, all of us, we just call functions in C language. To call a function, okay, do I require to know the logic behind the function? To call a function, do I require to know the logic behind the function? No. What we require to know is the name of the function, signature of the function. What we require to know, guys, the name of the function and the signature of the function. If we know the name of the function, the signature of the function, with this information, can we drive a car or not? If I know the name of the function, can I drive a car or not? Sorry. Can I call the function? I'm sorry, I'm telling wrong. If you know the name of the function, can you call the function or not? Yes. If I know the name of the function, the parameters of the function, I can easily call the function. But where to use, we have to know the logic. Why to know the logic here? How the logic is implemented, we never require to know. What we require to know is only the name of the function and the parameters of the information what you're required to pass to the function. If you know the name of the function and the parameters what you just required to call the function, you can easily call any function you want. If you know the name of the function and the parameters, you can easily call the function. Yeah, no issues with that. That is only what we call abstraction. See, last week we called a sort method, remember? Last week we called a sort method. Do you guys remember? When I call the sort method is sorting the values of an array. Sort method is a sorting the values of an array. For sorting the values of an array. Okay? But all of you clearly notice, listen my point here. What is that? The sort method simply sorts the values of an array. The sort method simply sorts the values of an array. It will sort. But what is the algorithm that has been used for sorting? What is the algorithm that has been used for sorting? Do we know that? Do we know what algorithm has been used for sorting? Did you guys understand my point or not? Do we require to know what algorithm has been used for sorting? We don't know. But we just only require to know how to call the method. How to call the method sort and pass the array to it. And once you call the sort method and pass the array to it, it will immediately sort all the values in the array. It will immediately sort all the values in the array. By calling the sort method, you can easily sort the values that are present for you inside of an array. Are you guys clearer or not? By calling the sort method, you can easily sort the values that are present for you inside of the array. Okay. So that is the key point what we just require to know. Simply when you call the sort method, it is just going to sort and give you all the values. So we only really, just if you follow the point here, what we know there is only how to call the method, but we don't know the signature, we don't know the logic behind the implementation of the method. We don't know the logic behind the implementation of the method. We never know the logic behind the implementation of the method. What we really know is only one thing. What is that? How to call the method. Once you call the method, that will do all the actions to you and gives you the results. So that is the advantage, and that is the advantage what you have. with abstraction. So abstraction is nothing new, guys, all of you. Abstraction is present in procedural programming languages also. Functions are the best example for abstraction. If you look at the functions, if you just look at the functions, we only know how to call the functions, but we really don't know the logic behind the function. Procedural object-oriented in both these two languages, abstraction is available. Abstraction is not specially introduced in object-oriented languages. So procedural languages also have abstraction. Okay, now? So this is all about abstraction. Good. Yeah, this is all about abstraction. How we use the abstractions. We'll see practically by defining methods. By defining methods in the code, we just go for abstraction. Are you getting my point? Hiding the complexity. Hiding the complexity is what we are just calling as abstraction. Hiding the complexity is what we're just calling as abstraction. We are just hiding the complexity, and that is what exactly we just call it as abstraction in the code. Encapsulation is basically, encapsulation, if you just understand, encapsulation talks about hiding the data, that is security. Hiding the data, that is security. Abstraction is not talking about hiding the data. Abstraction is not talking about hiding the data. What is abstraction? Abstraction is hiding the complexity. Hiding the complexity. This is providing the security for all the members. This is not about security, guys. This is not about security. The easy way to access. All the complicated code is present inside the method. We call the method, and once we call the method, the logic gets executed for you. Once you call the method, the logic gets executed for you over there. Encapsulation means inside the class. That's what I'm telling you. Encapsulation means the code is inside the class. No one can access it. No one can. That is what I'm telling you is about security there. No one can access the members without the permission of the class. Abstraction is not talking about security. Abstraction is talking about simplicity. Just call a method, perform an action. That's all. Abstraction is talking about called simplicity. Call a method, perform an action. That's all. Okay. So the first one is talking about security, and the second one is talking about simplicity. That is the basic difference between encapsulation and the abstraction process, what we just have. The third one is inheritance. what is inheritance? Basically, guys, the inheritance actually provides you reusability. This inheritance actually provides you reusability. What is this inheritance? Inheritance actually what it talks, Yeah, see, all of you might be having some money in your pockets, right? Do you have money in your pockets, all of you? How did you get that money? How did you get that money? The money what you have in your pockets is given by your parents, right? The money what you have is given by your parents. Your parents have given the money that is required for you. All the money what you have is given by your parents. Right? Yeah. Why your parents are giving you? Why your parents are giving you the money? Because you're their children, yeah, not needs. Why your parents are giving the money? Because you are their children. So basically, what does the law say? What does the law say? The law says that all the property of the parents belongs to their children. All the property of the parents belongs to their children. Okay, that's what exactly the law is telling you. All the property of the parents belongs to their particular children. But what exactly? That's what exactly it is just going to tell. Okay, so all the property of the parents belongs to the children. This is what exactly it is just going to tell you. Okay, now here the very important point I just wanted to remind you is, guys, tell me, can you drive your father's car as if you're the owner of the car? Can you drive your father's car as if the owner of the car? Yeah, some are telling yes and some are telling no. Yeah, guys, you can drive your father's car as if you're the owner of the car. Who can stop you? I can drive my father's car as if I am the owner of the car. Did you follow my point? We can drive your father. You can drive your father's car as if you're the owner of the car. Because my father car means my car only. Why no? Arey, it's my father's car means my car only. Na? Who can stop me? I can drive my father's car as if I'm the owner of the car. No problem at all. Okay now? Yeah. Nobody can stop you. Nobody can stop you. Father car means my car only. So that's the very important thing all of us have to remember here. Okay. So I can drive my father's car as if I am the owner of that particular car and no one can stop me in this particular place. So exactly the same thing I'm trying to explain you here also. What is that, See, all of you, listen. What is that I'm trying to explain you is basically inheritance is something what you get from your parents. Am I correct? Huh? Inheritance is something what you get from your parents. Your father purchased a car, you are driving the car. Your father purchased a mobile phone, you are using the phone. Your father built a house, you are living in the house. Your mother has some jewelry, and all the ladies, you take the jewelry in the future. So basically, the point to note in this particular case is all the property of the parents belongs to their children. All the property of the parents belongs to their children's. Okay, property of the parents belongs to their children's actually. Okay, so this is a property of the parent belongs to their particular children. So this is what basically we just get it. So inheritance here, inheritance gives you reusability. How can I use this in my applications? How can I use this in my applications? Very simple. Look at this picture. Every class, every class is going to be a collection of members. Every class is going to be a collection of members. All of you. Every class is a collection of members. Because every class is a collection of members, the members that are defined in one class can be consumed from another class by establishing a parent-child relationship. For example, all of you look at this. This is a class. A set of members are defined. I want to make use of the same members in another class. I want to make use of these members in another class. Guys, listen. I want to make use of these members in another class. Oh, you want to make use of them in another class? Yes, I want to. Okay, then how to consume? If at all you want to make use of these members in another class, simply establish a relationship between the two classes. I repeat, guys, establish a relationship between the two classes. By establishing a relationship between the two classes, what relationship? Parent-child relationship. Automatically, the members that are defined in class 1 can be consumed in class 2. Did you understand that? By establishing a relationship, the members that you defined in class 1 can now be consumed from class 2. All the members that are defined in class 1 can now be consumed from class 2. So it will provide you what? It will provide you reusability. Okay, this provides you reusability. You defined a set of members here and we are consuming. So did you understand inheritance? Did you understand inheritance, guys? That's what, yeah, there's no other example needed. See, your father's property, you inherit. Your parents' property, you inherit. And this gives you reusability. That's what your father has a car, you drive it, reusing. Okay, now? And finally, polymorphism. What is polymorphism? What is polymorphism? Behaving in different ways, depending upon the input is called polymorphism. I'll tell you an example. You don't require any other example for polymorphism here. You are the best example for polymorphism. You don't require any other example for polymorphism. You are the best example for polymorphism. What is that? All of you, just suppose you went for, you completed your annual examinations here. All of you listen. You completed your annual examination. After completing your annual examination, you're waiting for the results. You're waiting for the results. One fine day, early in the morning, one of your friends has called you and said, the university has announced the results. The university has announced the results. Congratulations, you are the topper of the college. Your friend has called you early in the morning and said, the university has announced the results. Congratulations, you are the topper of the college. How do you feel? Proud, happy? Yeah, we are proud, happy. Immediately, our WhatsApp status, Facebook status, all the social media status will change. Right? All our social media status will be changing up. We are in the cloud 9. We are in the cloud 9. Yeah, we just be in the cloud 9. Okay? But guys, unfortunately, what happened, you received the call from your friend telling you the university has announced the result, everything is fine. But you have 3 backlogs in the exam. Now, what is it? The university has announced the result, but you have 3 backlogs in the exam. How do you feel? How do you feel? Happy, proud. Okay, are you happy, proud, and proud of your achievement now? The first thing what we do is switch off the mobile phone. Stay away from the social media. Sign out from all the things, switch off the mobile phones, close the room door, sit inside. Correct? See, understand, this is only what we call polymorphism. What you are the same person. When I said you are the topper of the college, when you're the topper of the college, you're proud, happy and all. But when I said you lost in the examination, when you lost in the examination, what is happening? You're just sitting, closing the doors, sad face. So you're the same person. When I give some good input to you, you feel happy. When I give some bad input to you, you feel sad. So this is what we call as polymorphism. Did you understand my point, guys? Changing the behavior based on the input. Changing the behavior based on the input. Okay. How to apply all these things? That only we are going to learn step by step. We will learn all the things. But the point I'm trying to tell is any language that satisfies these particular four principles only can be called as an object-oriented language. Even if you don't satisfy at least a single principle also, that language cannot be called as an object-oriented language. Do you understand that? If you don't satisfy at least a single principle also, that language cannot be called as object-oriented. You must satisfy all the four principles that are prescribed under the standards of the language. Yes, all are compulsory. Understood me, guys? Come on, yeah. Read it. Read it. Come on, read the notes. Read the document. Come on, read from here. Read from here and tell me if you have any doubts on anything. Okay, read it. Are you guys clear? Yeah. Read this now. Read this. Done. Are you done? Extract console.writeline also explain. What here? What you're asking? Be clear in what you want to ask. Okay. So basically, so fine. So basically, this what any method. Every method is an example only. Every method is an example. Write line, read line, sort method, reverse method. All these examples for abstraction. Okay. Yeah. Now, the first thing here is encapsulation. What is encapsulation? Encapsulation is wrapping. Where do you wrap the code? Inside of a class. Now, to start with encapsulation, what you require to do is you require to write the code in a class. What is the class? Do you remember what is the class? It is a user-defined type. It is a user-defined type. It is a user-defined type, and it internally contains the following. It's a user-defined type, and it internally contains the following members in it. And internally contains following members in it. Okay. So what is it? It is a user-defined type. It internally contains the following members in it. Okay, members in it. What are the members? The members are like fields, methods, constructors, finalizers, properties, indexes, events, and deconstructors. Okay, it's a user-defined type. And it internally contains the following members in it. Are you clearer or not? Okay, so that's what exactly it is going to be. It's a user-defined type. It internally contains the following members. So let's try to understand about each and everything. What is the first member? The first one is a field. Fields. The first one is fields. So what's a field? You already know that these are used for storing. These are used for storing any values that are associated with a class. These are used for storing any value that are associated with a class, and they are global in scope. So all of you look at this. These are used for storing any values that are associated with a class, and they are global in scope. Yes, guys, basically these fields are global in scope. Okay, you already know about fields now. We already learned about fields already. I don't require to give you an explanation about fields. We already learned about fields earlier. Data types, fields, variables, all these things are giving you explanation to you already. I'm not going to talk anything about the fields. Okay. The next one is methods. What's a method? Method. What's a method is? It's a named block of code. It is a named block of code. It's a named block of code, which can be called or consumed from wherever, consumed from anywhere. Okay, it's a named block of code. It's a named block of code which can be called or consumed from anywhere. Once after it is defined. Once after it is defined, it can be called or consumed from anywhere. Are you guys clear? Once after it defined, it performs when we call the method. When we call a method, it performs an action. And then returns. And then it may or may not return any result of that action. Okay, it's a named block of code which can be called or consumed from anywhere once after it is defined. Can be called or consumed, which can be called by its name. Can be called by its name, and when it is called, it performs an action. And finally, may or may not return any result of that action. I repeat, guys, it's a named block of code which can be called by its name, and when it is called, it performs an action, and finally may or may not return any result of that action. What is it? May or may not return any result of that action? See, guys, methods are two types. What are the two types? First one, value returning methods. Second one, non-value returning methods. What's a value returning method? Remember, read line. Do you remember read line is a value returning method? The read line method returns a value and reads a value and returns you back. Read line method reads a value and returns the value back. Yes or not? The read line method reads a value and returns it back. Yes or not? Get length. Remember the get length method. When you call the get length method is going to return you the number of rows or the number of columns that are present inside of it. The get length method returns you the number of rows or the number of columns that are defined inside of it, right? That's all value returning methods. Okay, so they're all going to be value returning methods. We're just going to return a value once after the execution. Going to return a value once after the execution. So basically, two types of methods what we have: value returning methods, non-value returning methods. Example for value returning method: read line. Example for non-value returning method: write line. Write line is a non-value returning method, and read line is a value returning method. Is it clear, all of you? Understood, all of you? So that's what the basically difference between a write line and read line method. Value returning methods and non-value returning methods. So basically, value returning methods are also called as functions. Value returning methods are also called as functions, and non-value returning methods are also called as subroutines. See, guys, understand the terminology. Value returning methods are called functions, and non-value returning called as subroutines. Do you remember in C language? In C language, we use the word functions, but in C sharp, we are using the word methods. Why exactly the name was changed? You know, the reason for changing the name is, listen. Actually, what is the definition of a function? You know, function. This performs an action. This performs an action. This performs an action, and finally returns the result of that action. This performs an action and finally returns the result of that action. So that's what exactly a function is. What a function will do, this function will perform an action and finally returns the result of that action. It is finally going to return the result of that particular action. Are you clearer or not? Okay, so this performs an action, finally returns the result of an action. So, and functions are two types. Functions are two types. What are the two types? Value returning and non-value returning. Amulya, not Amulya. I'm sorry, not Amulya. Redmi 9 Prime. Who is that? Redmi 9 Prime. Stop the video. Non-value. You look at this code, all of you. Functions are two types. What are the two types here? Value returning, non-value returning. Now, if you look at this particular thing, value returning, non-value returning, if you just understand about the concept of the value returning and non-value returning, you just see what is the function. Functions basically performs an action and returns the result. Functions basically performs an action and returns a result. Okay, so what it will do? It will perform an action and finally it is going to return the result. It will be returning the result of that particular action. And what is it telling you? Value returning function, non-value returning functions are two types. It is telling you. See, basically, we don't have the concept of non-value returning functions. Basically, we don't have anything called as a non-value returning function. Non-value returning. When it is non-value returning, we cannot call it as a function at all. Are you clear what I'm telling you? When it is non-value returning, we cannot call it as a function at all. When you can call it a function, when you can call it a function, if at all you want to call it a function, it should return a value. It should return a value. Without returning a value, that cannot be called as a non-value returning. That cannot be called as a function. Okay, so now you see the word non-value returning function is wrong or right? The word non-value returning function is wrong or right? Wrong. That is the reason why in the modern programming languages, we are calling them as methods. Methods are two types. What are the two types? Value returning methods and non-value returning methods. Value returning methods are all called functions and non-value returning methods are called subroutines. Did you understand why the name was changed? Okay. Non-value returning. What should I say about non-value? Function must return a value. If it doesn't return a value, we cannot call it as a function at all. If it doesn't return a value, we cannot call it a function. Function means must return a value. That's all. If it doesn't return a value, that cannot be called as a function. Okay. So this is the important point. So it must return a value. And because it is returning a value, only that can be called as a function. If it doesn't return a value, it cannot be called as a function at any point of time. Okay, so guys, this is about a method. So now we need to understand how to define these methods in our code. Till now, we are calling the methods that are predefined. Till now, we are calling the methods that are predefined. Did you understand me? Till now, we are calling the methods that are predefined. Yeah, someone predefined the methods and we are calling them. Someone predefined the methods and we are just going to call them. So that's what till now we are calling the methods that are predefined by someone. But guys, remember, from now we will see defining our own methods. From now, I will show you defining our own methods, how to define our own methods and how to consume those particular methods in our code. So this is what we are going to discuss from now onwards. Defining our own methods and how to consume the methods. Okay, now I'll show you. Guys, just bear for me for this week. This week also may be regular with the classes. Regular in the sense, I will inform you. But I just came here to to perform my parents' ceremony. So just tomorrow again I have some pujas and all to be performed. So tomorrow again I have some pujas and all to be performed. So tomorrow again I am not able to take the class. Tomorrow again I'm not able to take the class. Your class will be on Thursday. See, this week only, because from the next Monday I will be offline. I will be coming back to Hyderabad, and once I'm offline, the classes will be very regular. Okay, just bear for me for this week. You go to a class tomorrow. Your next class will be on Thursday. Bye, guys.
Recording stopped.